Hi seniors, I'm going to review now prepositions and prepositional phrases and maybe talk to you about some things about prepositions that you might not know. You should know this. Prepositions are used to show a relationship between a noun and some other word in a sentence. Okay, so the noun that it's talking about there in the definition is the object of the preposition. So in this sentence, we need to show a relationship between the word table and the word it. And I'm going to use a preposition to do that. It's on the table. So it, whatever it is, this marker maybe, it's on the table. But that relationship, when that relationship changes, we need to change the preposition. So it's on the table, it's under the table, it's beside the table, okay? And there are many other prepositions of places. By the way, in your book, there is a comprehensive list of English prepositions and phrasal prepositions. And that could come in handy. When I was in school, I had to memorize all of those for a grade in my grammar class. I am not going to make you memorize them, but you do need to learn to recognize them. If there is a word that's showing a relationship between a noun and some other part of the sentence, it is a preposition. Now, another thing that I learned actually in college, and I thought, wow, this should have been taught to me before, is that certain nouns and certain verbs and certain adjectives take certain other prepositions. One example of that I have encountered with English language learners is when you're talking about in love, somebody's in love, and I've seen written many times at Lackey Dunbar in sentences and essays, he fell in love with her is the correct one, but I've seen he fell in love for her, he fell in love at her, he fell in love to her, and the word love takes the preposition, in that case takes the preposition in. Okay. And fell, the verb fell, you fall in love. You don't fall to love. You don't fall for love. Okay? So you have to know what preposition a word takes. A preposition can follow an adjective like this, skilled at, I'm skilled at archery or whatever. Excellent at, she's excellent at getting good grades. Angry at, he's angry at me. Delighted at, I'm delighted at this news. Okay. So those are all with the preposition at, and of course they need their object to connect to that adjective. And you can add whatever object. But you wouldn't say, I'm skilled to mathematics. That doesn't work. Skilled takes the preposition at. It could possibly take the preposition in. I'm skilled in delivering speeches. So those are things that you kind of learn as you go. And it helps to listen to a lot of English, maybe English songs, watch English YouTube videos, watch English TV shows and movies. Read English books and magazines and websites, and you will eventually kind of catch on to how to use prepositions. That's the advice that I find everywhere, is that the best way to learn how to use prepositions in any language is to listen to or read correct examples. I like to read either like one of the Honduran newspapers, or I've read several novels in Spanish, and that helps me with not only prepositions but all kinds of other things in learning the Spanish language, and that's will be the same for you. Prepositions can also follow nouns. Interest in, belief in, experience in, delay in. I'm going to give you examples here. I have an interest in dream interpretation. His belief in God was questioned. Experience in, she has experience in the area of computer programming. Delay in, so there has been a delay in the arrival of the bus full of students. Delay in. It wouldn't be a delay of the arrival. It wouldn't be a delay to the arrival. It's a delay in the arrival. They can be parts of phrasal verbs. I remember one of the students that I had at international school was from Italy, and she came to me and said, "Hey, can you help me with phrasal verbs?" And honestly, I didn't really know what she was talking about. I had to look it up because those things come so naturally to a native speaker that we don't think a lot about that, you know. But prepositions that form part of phrasal verbs can also be called particles. And I learned it as verb plus particle when I was in school. But you can also think about it as a phrasal verb, like turn into. So like the caterpillar turned into a butterfly. That's a phrasal verb, turned into. Hand out. Can you please hand out the papers? Hand out. Take off. Let's watch the rocket take off. Make up. That can mean several things. As a phrasal verb, these requirements make up. Let's see. These classes make up the requirements for your senior year. Okay, or you could say, after the fight, we'll make up. Okay, so that's a phrasal verb. A preposition itself might be phrasal. Or that means, when I say phrasal, the word phrasal means that it consists of more than one word. So here's some phrasal prepositions. And like I said, there's a bigger list in your book. Because of, instead of, rather than, prior to, apart from. Okay, so because of you, I'm late. Okay, so because of would be the preposition, you would be the object of the preposition in that case. Instead of, let's have chocolate instead of lemon dessert. Rather than means means something similar to instead of. Let's stay home rather than go to the party. Prior to is another way of saying before. So like prior to 2008, I never thought this could happen, kind of thing. Apart from. What does that mean apart from the context of grammar class? Apart from, away from, there are many. Like I said, check the list in your book. A prepositional phrase consists of a preposition, its object, and any modifiers or complements. You should know that. It's easy. And we've talked before about prepositional phrases having nouns or pronouns as their objects. For example, to Pablo, proper noun. To the person who wins, common noun with an adjective phrase modifying the person. This whole thing is the prepositional phrase because who wins is describing or modifying the object of the preposition. A pronoun, for example, from someone or to myself. A gerund or gerund phrase could be the object of a preposition. So my uncle was hard of hearing. That's an expression that we use for somebody who doesn't hear very well physically. And this prepositional phrase has as its object a gerund. Or you could have a gerund phrase as the object of the preposition. After listening to this, so in this case you have a prepositional phrase within a prepositional phrase because to this is a prepositional phrase with a pronoun as its object. And so listening to this is the whole gerund phrase that serves as the object of the preposition after. Fun. Prepositional phrase within a gerund phrase within a prepositional phrase. Okay. A noun clause could also be the object of a preposition. So, for whoever wants it. I have more coffee for whoever wants it. In this case, the whole clause, whoever wants it, is the object of the preposition for. And I said modifiers or complements because here you have it is the complement of the verb wants. Okay. So some prepositions to watch out for. In, on, and at. And I've talked with you about this many times since 7th grade. In, on, and at can be used for place prepositions or for time prepositions. For example, if it's a place preposition, in has to do with something containing something else. So there's coffee in my cup. There's also actually coffee on my cup. I don't know if you can see that because I spilled some coffee on the side of my cup. And on has to do with contact between surfaces. And many times when we use the word on, we're talking about not just contact between surfaces, but contact between surfaces atop something else. Okay, encima de algo. Put that on the table. Okay, that doesn't necessarily mean you're supposed to contact the surface of the table somewhere. That means you're supposed to put it encima de la mesa, on the top of it. And then at means that it's a more general location. We're at the store. It could either mean that we're inside the store. It could mean that we are near the store. So one example that I think of all the time is when I first came to Liquidambar, and someone told me that Carlos was in his locker. Now, your lockers are not very big, and I can't think of a single person named Carlos that could fit into a locker. I mean, maybe if Carlos is a newborn baby, it might fit into one of your lockers, but why would you put a newborn baby inside there? And so it confused me for a second. I'm like, what do you mean? Carlos is at his locker. That means he is frente de esto, acerca de esto, algo así. When it has to do with time, it gets more and more specific this way. So, in 1925, in the month of May, in the winter time, okay? And then on has to do with a specific date or day. On March 22nd, on Saturday, on Christmas Day, okay? And then at would have to do with the time, like at 5 o'clock or at lunchtime. So it gets more and more specific as it goes this way. The words from and of are easily confused. From means it has the origin of something. So I'm from the United States. This package is from my mother. Something has an origin. The word of, you wouldn't say that I'm of the United States. That doesn't work. The word from is the right word for that one. Also, this package is not of my mother. That almost sounds like the package belongs to my mother. And that's another situation there. With the word of, many times you say, this is the backpack of Carlos. I'm just going to use Carlos again. The backpack of Carlos. But actually in English, you should say this is Carlos's backpack, and it's C-A-R-L-O-S apostrophe backpack. You don't need the S after the apostrophe. We've already gone through apostrophes, I believe. So the word of, when do we use it? I already used it with hard of hearing. This is a cup of coffee. Okay, that means that what it contains is coffee. This is a day of rejoicing. This day contains rejoicing. Okay? Yeah. I haven't really thought about that way before. The word until is a problem because in English it means that an action is continuing up to a certain point, and that point is where we talk about until. So if someone were to tell me that the meeting is until 3 o'clock, that means that the meeting started at some undetermined point in the past and it's going to stop at 3 o'clock. Okay? But what you want to say probably is the meeting is at 3 o'clock. Remember the time thing with the word at. We're going to have the meeting until Wednesday. We would never say that probably, because what that means is we're going to have the meeting continuously from now on and on and on, overnight and throughout the next day. And on Wednesday it will stop. Okay? So, no. So try to be careful with the word until. And the words since and for. I'm trying to think of an example here. The word since, often I've seen people use it like this. I've been doing this since a child. Okay, that doesn't make sense because since means that something has been happening, starting with a certain point in time. And a child is not a point in time. What you mean is since childhood, perhaps. Childhood could be considered a point in time. Let's see, I've been doing this since a long time. That doesn't work either, because that's not a point in time, that's a length of time. For a long time would work, okay? Or I've been doing this since I was 11, so that's a long time, for me especially. So anyway, those are ones to watch out for. You can Google this stuff. You can say prepositions for English language learners, Alexa or Siri or whatever. You can look up the actual ones like prepositions in, on, at, prepositions since, for, and you can find those. We will probably run into some of those in our meet. Now I actually have to make a video for participles and gerunds and other things. I just wanted to make the preposition one separate because it, as you can see, it includes quite a bit of stuff. So, next video.